Hey guys, welcome back. We have enjoyed the chocolate raisin bread for many breakfasts as our boys were growing up. It was an indulging breakfast, but with kids around, it was my way of indulging them. In fact, making the recipe today, I am flooded with those wonderful memories and realize that it has been quite a while since I made these. Wonder why it has taken me all this time to make it again. It is a soft dough and does get messy spreading the chocolate layer, but I assure you it is worth it. The trick is to work fast and to dust a good layer of flour on top of the worktop to roll the dough. So let's get cooking. We're going to first start by making the dough for the bread. It's a very simple way of making it, and the best part is all the ingredients actually go in all together. You don't need to activate your yeast or add anything else. Add all the flour, add all the ingredients and mix it well together. What you have to be careful is when you mix it together, it is going to be a sticky dough. So use a spatula or a wooden spoon and mix it together with that, and that will help. Don't try and get your hands inside, it gets very sticky and moist. After it is done, I will then lightly toss it with a little bit of, or rather kneaded with some flour. So all-purpose flour. This has been sieved, always sieve the flour. Dry yeast, sugar, little salt, melted butter, crack in one egg. Now, all of you who actually don't eat eggs at home, the best substitute for an egg is actually going to be yogurt. So just take normal yogurt, full fat, low fat, doesn't really matter, and add approximately 50 grams of yogurt for replacing one egg. And then goes in the milk. All of it together. And this is the best part. You don't need to ferment the yeast or whatever, so it's quite an easy dough, but it does take time for this dough to set and rest. We mix it together to form the dough. The dough has mixed together. I'm going to transfer it to my work surface and lightly knead it with a little flour. Lightly dust the surface and transfer the dough on it. Just lightly dust your hands so they become more like a non-stick, and very gently with just your fingers you bring it together. You do not need to massage the dough. You do not need to knead the dough. Just gently put it together. Gather the flour from the table. Gently roll that into a ball. Little more flour. There we have it. This is done. In the same bowl which I had the flour, I'm going to add a tiny bit of oil. And the dough is all now set to rest. It's a very soft dough. I have to be very gentle and delicate with that. Cover the dough with a cling film. And this will now be kept into the warm part of your kitchen for approximately 90 minutes. That's 1.5 hours for the dough to rest and swell up. The filling for this bread is actually very nice. It is one of my favorites. It's actually chocolate. It's chocolate, it's butter, it's sugar, and it's raisins. And it is such a simple way to make it. Normally in restaurant we use a compound chocolate or a cooking chocolate when it's very easy to handle, but for home use you really can't get that. Personally, I love to use dark chocolate, 70% cacao and plus, but most of you not get that into your normal markets around your homes. So I've used a normal milk chocolate which you can get very easily, and there's a trick to this, to how to make it easier to work with. I've added the sugar along with the chocolate and then melted butter. Now milk chocolate has got a high content of fat anyways and is much lighter in color. So I'm going to make it dark, and there's a trick to making it dark to get the rich dark chocolate color. Now when you're cooking with chocolate, always cook it at a low temperature. So I'm going to get my pan heated up, and as soon as it gets slightly warm, I'm going to reduce the heat down and just ensure that the sugar and the chocolate melts together well. Okay, that is now begin to soften up and melt. I'm going to reduce the heat, and on low heat I'm going to make it into a smooth paste. The chocolate has melted off, and this is the trick to replicate or mimic the colors of a dark chocolate. All you have to do is add cocoa powder, unsweetened cocoa powder. I'm going to add a couple of spoons of cocoa powder and just stir that in together, and look at the change in the color of the chocolate. It instantly begins to look like dark chocolate. So it's a cheat, but it's a good cheat. It works well, especially when you cannot get the right ingredients. You can use these little tricks to make your food nice. This is now going to cool, and I'm going to use this to spread onto the bread. I do like to have my tea or coffee while I'm cooking. I think it's just some fun in the kitchen. Makes me very relaxed. Okay, the dough has rested for 90 minutes, and you can see it is doubled up in size. It's got very nice aeration, and that is because of the yeast. Then all I will do now is gently knock the dough. Literally lightly deflate the dough. Can you see that? Such a nice aeration. Very lightly flour it and roll the dough out. It is a tricky dough, but because it is difficult to handle, it's also quite delicious. And all I will do is I'm going to roll the dough. I'm going to lightly flour the dough on my rolling pin. And gently roll it out. It doesn't have to be perfectly round. What I will do is I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces eventually, and I'm going to give it a very nice shape. I'm going to watch how it is coming to life, and that's a good thing with dough. It's quite malleable, and you can move it and shape the dough. The whole idea is to just lightly. Now when you're rolling it onto the rolling pin, because the dough has been aerated, don't go very hard. Just let the rolling pin do the work. Pull it outwards from center to out. So what you will get is a very nice kind of an even roll. And it doesn't need to be perfectly round. You will feel this with the palm, you feel the thickness where you need to roll it, and all you do is pull it out. Yeah. Lightly loosen it just to make sure it does not stick at the bottom. and it does tend to shrink, which is normal. Okay, now when the dough is set, I'm now going to spread my chocolate mix, and you see all the butter has cooled down and the mixture is nice and creamy and smooth. I'm going to spread this on the bread. Just spread it all across till it is smooth. Leave it around half an inch or an inch from the edge, because you need to roll the dough in. It's got a small amount of little lumps in it, but that is okay. It's just chocolate. Once you're going to cook it, it'll all melt through. It looks like a pizza, doesn't it? Can you imagine doing a nice chocolate pizza? It'll taste so nice. I'm pulling it from inside to outside because the inside is still a bit thick. There we are. This is nice and spread out. Now I'm going to cut it into, like you do for your pizza wedges. Then further each wedge into half, and then each wedge into further half. And the last one. So literally resembling a pizza. And in this I'm going to now sprinkle in some raisins. Now I didn't want to put raisins earlier because raisins are quite granular, and if I put them earlier it would not spread evenly. So I'm going to put them into the wedges. There's something very special about raisins and chocolate. They work quite well. The flavors work extremely well. If you think that your dough is a little too soft before you're rolling it out, you can always keep it into a fridge for a little while, for 10-15 minutes, for it to slightly harden. So I'm going to trim out some of the dough which is an excess. Otherwise it becomes very doughy kind of a bread. You don't want very heavy on dough also. Now all I will do is I'm going to roll this dough like you do a croissant. So put it on the side and just go inside like a croissant. It's a bit messy, but you know, absolutely delicious. Chocolate croissants are almost ready. I've got a cake tin here which I've greased, and at the bottom I put a greaseproof butter paper and also oiled it, so it's easy to take it out. Now these are very fragile and very soft to handle, so just be very careful because it is soft chocolate. And all you do is you put these shapes of chocolate bread like a fan shape, arrange them all around, and just want the centers to be all together. Small, big size does not really matter. It will all eventually cook and become like a tear bread. I'm going to and one more, so 8 at the bottom. And you're probably wondering what will I do with all this extra bread? Well, there you have an answer. They go on top. So you put them on top and you press them down. So literally what you're doing is you are layering 2 layers of bread onto the cake tin. And when they cook, they'll expand and they will become slightly bigger. But what will be nice is they all stick together, and when you pull them up, all the gooey chocolate, the dough, the raisins, they all stick together and they become like a tear-shaped bread. Now this, I will let it rest for another 20 minutes. My bread had rested for a while, and now I'm going to give it an egg wash. This is basically just a whole egg, lightly whipped up, and all I would do is a gentle egg wash. So when this bakes in the oven, it gives a very nice glaze. There, it's done. And just to make it a little interesting, I'm going to sprinkle sesame seeds. There we are. This goes in the oven at 180 degrees centigrade or 350 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 30 minutes for the bread to gently rise up and cook through. Oh, look at that. That is nice and brown, just the way it is supposed to be. That is absolutely gorgeous. The chocolate has melted, the bread has cooked, it has risen quite well, and the sesame seeds are just about right. The colors are so nice, but the aromas are even better. I can't wait to tuck in, but I'll let that rest for approximately 4-5 minutes. It is too hot even for me to eat right now. We'll come back in 5 minutes and take a nice bite. My chocolate raisin fluffy bread is ready and it absolutely smells beautiful. Nice warm chocolate bread. Make sure you guys try it at home. Share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to leave your comments on the section below. So until next time, happy cooking and bon appetit. But for me, I am going to pull a piece out, or look at that, and enjoy this divine bread. Oh man, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. If you haven't had this bread, have it now, make it now, and I promise you, you'll thank me all your life. Wow.